Welcome to Thrive Tucson Business Spotlight, sponsored by Vantage West, where I chat with small business owners to see what makes their company thrive. I'm your host, Carla Escamilla, and today I'm joined with Mike Malassi of Borderlands Brewery. Borderlands is a Tucson-based brewery that uses German techniques from the 1800s to brew beer made for the scorching Sonoran sun here in Tucson. Welcome to the show, Mike. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Let's start about why. Why did you want to brew beer?
So it's an interesting story. My career is as a microbiologist. I still do microbiology research here in Tucson. But when I moved here, I actually met my business partner. We began home brewing together, and that's when we thought, let's start a brewery. But they're interrelated, they both use microbiology. So.
But you're not from Tucson.
No.
Tell me the story and how you ended up here in Tucson.
Sure, yeah. So I'm originally from Colorado. I grew up in Colorado Springs, and I went to college in Fort Collins. And when I got to Fort Collins, which is kind of a craft beer mecca in the nation, that's when I was introduced to craft beer and kind of fell in love. Through that process, I got my degree in microbiology, and I actually worked in a quality assurance lab at the Budweiser brewery there. But that's actually what spurred me to go on to graduate school. I got my PhD in microbiology in Chicago at Loyola. And that's when when I was finished with that, I took a research position here in Tucson. That's when I moved here.
So you took a lot of school to be able to learn how to make beer.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But tell me about the business part. We always talk about how a doctor needs also to be a businessman. In your case, tell me about how you learned to manage your business.
Yeah. Learned by doing, for sure. What was really interesting about our case is when I moved here and met my business partner, Miles Stone, who grew up in Tucson, and his family owned a small chain of bicycle stores in town. So he grew up in a small business family. Okay. But what was interesting, when we were doing the fundraising for Borderlands, it was 2009. So it was kind of the valley of the deep recession. What people really, our investors really identified with was the stick-to-itiveness that's required to finish a degree like that. And so that's what they saw in us. I didn't understand that until later, but I think that's what they saw. And then I've just learned by doing.
So, getting the two brains together and flourishing from there.
Definitely.
Tell me how you work with other small business owners in the area.
We definitely do a lot of work with small business owners. We're part of Local First Arizona, which is a coalition of locally owned businesses. And the local Southern Arizona brewers meet all the time. I just met with them this past week, and we cooperate quite a bit. And in fact, we're going to be working with one of them, Sentinel Peak Brewing, to form a brewery cooperative to help us both increase our production. Tell me about what is the plan? You're joining with another brewery? Yeah, we're joining forces, and the company that we're forming is called Voltron Brewing, which is a kind of an ode to an 80s cartoon about robots that form bigger robots. But so we're forming a cooperative so we can share resources, reduce costs, and both increase production at the same time. But you're keeping your name, and they're keeping their name. Correct, yeah. Okay, and tell me about the difficulties of having a brewery. The biggest challenge that breweries face is it's a very capital-intensive industry, just because the equipment costs so much. It's stainless steel and mechanical equipment. That's a tremendous cost to having a brewery. So it's always reinvesting in that. And tell me about the production of your beer. How many styles of beer do you have, and how often are you brewing it? We brew 2 or 3 times a week at our location in 119 East Toole Avenue. It's right across the street from the new county court building. And we produce about 160 barrels a month. A barrel is a weird English unit of measurement, which is 60 gallons or something. But so it's quite a bit of beer. And our hazy New England style IPAs is kind of what we're known for right now. The top one. Yeah. Tell me about your water conservation. I know that you're really focused on that and doing charity work for it. Tell me how you work with that. Yeah, so for a while I actually served on the advisory council for a local water conservation group called Conserve to Enhance. They're based out of the Water Resources Center, the U of A. But we also belong to a coalition of brewers known as the Arizona Western Rivers Brewers Council. It was organized by Audubon, Arizona, to really help focus on the protection and restoration of riparian habitat because after all, you can't brew beer without water.
Exactly, that's really good. So congratulations for that.
Thank you.
You have been open for 6 years,
Yes.
correct? What has changed since you opened till now to be able to have this success?
As I mentioned, we had to continually reinvest to invest in capital and grow our production and grow our brand identity. We've added on 2 distributors, so we're distributed throughout the state by Finley Distributing here in the Tucson metro area, and Crescent Crown Distributing in the Phoenix metro area, and actually also Legacy Distributing in northern Arizona.
That's awesome. Tell me about the number of restaurants and where people can actually find your beer.
That's a great question. So we have hundreds of accounts. I wish my sales rep was here so he could tell you.
Talk a little bit about that. But,
But we're actually going to be building a new sort of widget on our website so people can click on that and find out where to find the beer throughout the different places that we're distributed.
Now you're a Tucsonan because you're a business. You're a business owner
here. I've been here for 9 years.
And
so, yeah.
your name, Borderlands, you cannot say you're not from Tucson. That the community actually want to drink local beer. How important is that?
Oh, that's crucial. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that the brewing industry has really focused on. Even at the national level, the Brewers Association, which represents all craft brewers, has really driven that home, that it's so important to drink local and eat local and just act.
Have you gone locally outside of Arizona?
So we actually are the first Arizona brewery to be exported to the neighboring state of Sonora.
That is great.
Yeah.
So I know you're getting into the Mexican area, and I know a lot of people want that craft beer.
Cerveza artesanal.
La cerveza artesanal. Tell me, what do you think it's the reason that you are being so successful right now?
I think that a big part of our success has been our commitment to partner with local community organizations and nonprofits that really focus on making our community a better place to live. And so those partnerships have really gotten our name out in a big way.
So the future for Borderlands Brewery is joining forces and try to expand.
Absolutely, yeah. Increase production, more distribution.
How far do you want to go?
So I think our goal is to be a powerful regional brewery and then stop. I think that looking at the trends in the brewing industry, there's a lot of breweries that have gotten over their skis and have had to contract. And I think that's because there's so many breweries in so many parts of the country that it's best just to really stay in your own backyard.
That's really good. I like that a lot. Do you drink your beer?
Yes, I do.
That was just a silly question.
That was a test.
Yes. But before we go, I just want to thank you for coming.
Of course.
And what is your best advice that you have for anybody that wants to start a business?
Yeah.
Not a brewery business, but just any business out there.
Well, my first advice to anyone who asks me that question is don't start a business. But if they're really passionate about it, I think the answer is do your homework. Really know your market, know your business, and know where you're going to fit in.
Mike, thank you so much for being with us today. And to find out more information about Borderlands, visit borderlandsbrewing.com or check out the brewery and sample the beer yourself at 119 East Toole Avenue. And of course, there's a Facebook page, right?
Absolutely. Facebook.com/Borderlands Brewing.
Thank you so much. This has been Business Spotlight with Carla Escamilla. See you next time.